Hey everyone, this is Pastor Dennis Sanders, First Christian Church of St. Paul in Roseville, Minnesota. It's been a while since we've talked. Kind of busy as usual, but this week I saw something on the internet. They're actually these days, especially on Twitter, even as bad as it has been as of late, still can find some good things. And someone shared something. It's something this here, and I'm showing a picture of it. And this is something that was put out, at least according to the tweet, from the Assemblies of God denomination. It looks like it showed up in one of their denominational magazine called Pentecostal Evangel from October 14th, 1984. And it is called 10 Guidelines for Christian Voters. And it's interesting to hear about some of this and kind of line it up to what's going on today. So, like the first thing that it says is, do not confuse patriotism, national pride, and Western culture with Christian faith and practice. Number two, do not confuse secular political activity with the purpose of the church, nor campaigning with witnessing and preaching. And it keeps going. Do not make slanderous or false accusations against your opponents, but maintain your integrity. Do not consider a brother or sister who is of like precious faith an adversary if he or she holds a different political view. Number four, very much, this is obviously written before social media, but it's important today. At all times, endeavor to verify information before accepting it as true or before repeating it to others. And like I said, there are other things here. It's like I said, 10 guidelines. I think it was very important. But what was fascinating from that is about how important it was for Christians to act during a political season. As I said, this was written in 1984. So 84 was another presidential election year. Kind of the sad thing sometimes that I see, obviously today, from Christians is how we act. And we don't act always, especially during an election year, very well. And I wish that there were denominations that would put something out like this, how do we act during an election year. It doesn't matter if it's evangelical or mainline progressive, because I think it's important for how Christians do act. You know, we've been here at the church doing a series on the book of James. And last week we talked a little bit about our speech and how sometimes speech can be dangerous. And this week it's kind of more or less about you show people who you are as a Christian. And that is more important in some ways than telling them. And I think that that's what this list is all about, is showing people that you're a Christian and how you act. And I worry that we don't do that as much, but I hope that we can. We can find ways of how do we act as Christians? How do we act righteous? How do we act as responsible, that says something that might make someone want to know more about who this Jesus person is that these people talk about? Because, of course, too much of what we see sometimes in the news from people who profess to be Christians are things that push people away from our faith. So my hope is, as we are continuing this election season, that we find ways of how do we act as Christians and act Christianly in our world, especially in these heated debates and especially with people who we disagree with. How do we treat someone that might vote differently from us? And how do we remind ourselves that they are also a child of God? And how do we not say things that are untrue or not really check the information? And how do we not confuse kind of our pride and love of country for the Christian faith? These are things that we need to think about as we continue into this election season. I hope I can continue doing these maybe more on a regular basis. This one is a little bit interesting because I didn't write anything down, and I'm usually want to write things down. And I don't want to just ramble. So I hope I wasn't rambling. But that's some thoughts that I have for this time around. And I will see you next time. Godspeed, everyone, and take care.